Hello, my name is Raven. Welcome back to my channel. And if you do enjoy my content, be sure to share, like, and subscribe. And today I'm really excited because I got my book in the mail, Define Crazy, that I am a part of. And this is by Mangonia Silcox. And I'm going to read to you guys my story in this book. This is Raven's story. My diagnosis is major depression with psychotic features and generalized anxiety. This has been a long journey where I found out about my mental health issues back in 2012 when I started college. I've been in denial by my condition for years. I didn't want to accept there was a problem. So during this time it was hard. I wasn't a great student who did not like to ask for help. I heard about a program that could help dyslexic students like myself, which involves getting tested by psychologists. I don't like these tests. So the results came in, which stated that the psychologist highly recommended I see a doctor for help. I didn't want to talk about my father since we're never close, and hear the words, "How does that make you feel?" just annoys me. So it has been years of trial and error and me not wanting to seek help. There are certain moments in my life from 2012 till now where I needed real help. I got married at a young age, as you might say. I was 19 years old. It was the summer of 2013. I don't want to say anything bad about my husband. We're still married, but we are separated. We had a lot of good times, but also a lot of bad times. And I guess the bad outweighed the good. We had a lot of issues. We didn't know how to communicate well. He had a loud voice in general, so it felt like he was yelling. We both did a lot of bad things to each other. Our anger got the best of us and we lost control. We did end up having a lot of fights. I think we both were struggling and we couldn't help each other out of the landslide we had created. While we both were a complete mess, we were the best of friends at one point. We always told each other everything, which led us to being completely strangers to another. We tried our best to be together despite everything. Things were getting heavy, and I think our biggest mistake was talking to other people. We both were thinking it was cool, that no one could get mad because we weren't physically cheating, that would that we could just do what we wanted to do, but that wasn't the case. My coping thing at the time was just to forget what would happen and never talk about it like it never existed. I would later realize that that became a bad habit of mine, which got me into dangerous situations throughout my life. Every time something bad would happen to me, I wouldn't speak of it and act it like it never happened. I was hoping that these situations would never return to haunt me, but they did. Everything does eventually catch up to you. Having a best friend where you are no longer confided in is hard when you feel lost and all alone. Now let's go to March of 2015, which is when my first daughter was born. A lot of emotions were going through my head. I was happy, sad, and a bit scared. I was most afraid of my own daughter would even love me. I would always feel really dizzy and weak. In this pregnancy, I would even get anxiety attacks, in which I didn't understand. So her father would walk me to the bathtub so that I could take a warm bath. He would give me some tea. He learned that from his grandma, who has now passed away. The strange thing is, I always needed him around to feed off his energy. So when I would feel weak, I would always hold his hand and I'll feel better. Not sure why that was, but it worked. I remember this is where I had my first hallucination. It could have been due to medication, or maybe I had a gift. I don't know. I have these questions myself. Am I really insane, or do I have a gift? Maybe I can see things that others can't. I remember seeing a big circle or spotting different colors. That's all I could see when I was panicking. It lasted for hours and then it went away. I don't know why or how it happened. The day I had my daughter, I was given medicine for pain through the IV. The medicine would knock me out and wake me back up. I felt the pain after I had her. I was so weak and just out of it, which would lead me to be so out of it for the next 4 months of my daughter's life. I felt during these months just lost. I didn't want to eat, sleep, or even take a shower. felt like I was alone, felt like I was not in my own body, like I gave up on everything. Depression for me feels like I'm a lost soul, just going on about my day with no reason, no emotion, like nothing. It's like I have already died even though I'm alive. This is the first time I'm even saying this publicly. Usually I'm afraid to say these certain things because I don't think a lot of people would understand or they would just label me as crazy. I still think there's a stigma with mental health. I think we should normalize mental health, that it's okay to feel these emotions and that we're not alone. We shouldn't be criticized for our mental health. There is an incident which I did not do on purpose. I was changing my daughter on the couch and I wasn't paying attention. She rolled over and fell off the couch. My husband took her to the hospital. The doctors were trying to figure it out if I did it on purpose or not. I will say I do thank him for standing by me. He told them that he thought I had postpartum depression. This was the first time I ever heard of this. I didn't understand what it all meant. They prescribed me medication, but the medication made it worse. I kept waiting for my husband to come home from work, and when he did, he would go to sleep. It felt like I was alone, and there were times he would take pictures of us together with our baby and then show them to me later on. Whenever he would show them to me later, I couldn't remember that moment that was taken, which made me feel awful. Can you imagine not remembering anything for 4 months? The day I decided to leave my husband because I couldn't cope or deal what was happening between us, I didn't know that I was stepping into a situation that would be worse for me. I decided to hang out with this ex-boyfriend I had back in high school. I was spiraling out of control. I think honestly the reason I went towards him was because of my low self-esteem. I was lonely and he paid attention to me. He made me laugh and I got lost in a moment for a while, but it was all a lie. He knew my situation and what state I was in and still wanted me, and I think at the time I wasn't in the right state of mind, so I would have had accepted any type of love. It was a really confusing time because I still love my husband, but I also like this other ex-boyfriend. I didn't know what to do. I ended up pregnant from that ex-boyfriend, which made things more difficult. And I knew what was going to happen. There were going to be a lot of people mad at me. But after I calmed down from shock, I had to accept that I had to go on, even if the whole world hates me. Later on, I had my second daughter. And when she became 2 years old, I had nowhere to go, so I ended up back with her father, again trying to make things work. During the time with him, he was controlling, possessive, and I had to dress a certain way as he wanted me with him. Only he didn't trust me at all, which put a lot of pressure on a person. There were nights where I couldn't breathe. In the room with him, I felt like I couldn't breathe, so I had to go outside to escape, even if it was just for a little bit. And every time he would always want to cuddle with me or sleep with me. After feeling again I couldn't breathe, so I had to sleep by myself. Started to hate him. He disgusted me. I felt like I needed him gone, and in the end, I realized I wasn't happy with him, and things were gonna get worse than they were. Also, because for some reason he was the only one who knows how to elevate my anger, which which includes me physically hitting him, throwing breakable things, and throwing his clothes in the trash. So we were toxic for each other, and it wouldn't be safe for my daughters. So regarding my hallucinations, they're not always the same. I see deformed faces, I see shadows of all shapes and sizes, I see blue lights or circles. I saw a person's full body and face and color when I was working on cleaning an apartment once, which freaked me out because that was the first time I have seen my hallucinations in color. Sometimes I do hear someone saying my name, but there's no one there. Along with that, I do space out a lot and end up in a daydreaming state. Not sure why or how long, because it's noticeable to where like I hear things like, "Why do you do that? Oh, you're getting sick again." I hate hearing those words. I did get told there is nothing I can take for that part, so I'm struggling. Recently, my hallucinations have been happening more and more. It looks like there are spider webs in front of me. It happens more when I take medications at night. As for my anxiety, it can occur when I'm exercising. I start to panic afterward. I feel like I can't breathe. I start crying, basically screaming that I want to be normal. It's difficult to come down from that even in sexual situations. If I get too excited, I start to feel those symptoms again, so it does make life extremely difficult. I try to tell myself that it's okay and that I'm fine. I also do breathing exercises that I have learned from yoga, which did help a lot. I do also take medication for anxiety. I have done therapy for 2 years and now I'm just taking medication for depression. The medication can make me feel real low with no motivation to do anything. Sometimes I have no drive, just emptiness and hopelessness. I could cry about the same thing every day if I allow myself to do so. I do take medication for depression. I try to read, write, poetry, clean the house, try to distract myself. I do things that would make me happy, like spending time with my daughters, going for walks. I still feel like I have a long way to go in my mental health. It's like every day I'm fighting to be at peace with myself. If I could help anybody struggling out there, that makes me happy. I don't think we are monsters or killers, how some people think we are, just because we're a little different. I want to make a difference to somehow show people that everyone goes through struggles and it's nothing to be ashamed of. And that's the end of my story there. And I really do like helping people because that's basically what all my poetry books are regarding mental health, to tell people that they're not alone. And I tend to get emotional when I'm talking about the relationship with my husband. It's hard. And when I had that postpartum depression, like in the moment when he said that to the doctors, I felt like he was kind of throwing me under the bus because I didn't understand. Like, I was like, why are you saying that? But I do thank him for that. And also other things that he has done to help me. Even though certain times I don't see it. And I feel like I want to cry because we really were like the best of friends at one point. Pretty much the only best friend I ever had. So it just got me like emotional just reading that. And I don't think there's any excuse for cheating, but I know how I was feeling during that time, and I think that's what got me to do what I did, even though it wasn't right and it wasn't my intention to really hurt him in that way. And I think I was one of those people that you could just tell me pretty little words and I'll believe basically anybody. I've always had that issue where I believe everybody was good, they had good intentions, and I always needed some type of affection. And if I didn't get it and somebody else gave it to me, I would believe them. And basically, they would use me, but I just didn't see it that way. And it's like, someone could hurt me millions of times, and I'll still love them. It's just how I am, which I know could be a bad thing, but I'm working on it. And when I see things, they're all different kinds of creatures and people. And now, end of the story, I was taking medications because I had a hard time starting in the month of June, which lasted almost a year. So I had to go back on medications, and then but during that time, my psychosis was increasing, and I felt like when I told the doctors I was not being heard. So I think I did the thing that you're not supposed to quit my medications without talking to my doctor. Even though I knew I was gonna go through like horrible withdrawals or whatever, I was like, I'll just deal with it, which is not the best thing to do. So I would not recommend that. But it's just what I did, because when the psychosis happens, it's like flashes of different weird images, symbols, back to back to back. And it was way too much. I still get them, but they're more controllable. And I do want to help people to understand that people with psychosis are not crazy. Because a lot of people, mainly guys, will try to make fun of me for seeing things or having, my mental health condition. And it's not really something to joke about. It's it's really not. It's not funny, because people really do suffer with this, and it's not like, I wouldn't wish it on anybody. I don't think anybody wants to be like this. It just happens. And sometimes I don't know if my hallucinations are really there or if I just gone completely crazy. And sharing that part of myself is hard because people get scared or they make fun of you. Or if you do one thing wrong to them, they're like, oh, well, at least I'm not like you. And that's not good. I think if you're a real friend, you wouldn't press those buttons. But I hope y'all enjoyed the book. I'm going to put a link of the seller so you guys could order a copy, because it actually has other people's stories in here as well that I think is pretty cool.